Hey guys, welcome back to Economics and Comics. So it's the Billy Joel show. We're here. I don't know who's in here, who's not, but we just went and we saw The Invisible Man.
Yeah, so this is a modern retelling of the original Universal monster horror films, and they did this already with Wolfman and Mummy. I'm not sure if that Wolfman counted, but they did it with the Mummy with Tom Cruise, and now The Invisible Man. I believe they have plans to kind of do all the big Universal monsters, and then maybe they'll do one that has a combination of them. But this one, it felt to me, it felt a little different. It's trying to be much more horror. It comes across in the final product to me as just suspense, but the way the film is presented is very much as a horror film, like a ghost movie. And I think a lot of that has to do with the director. Leigh Whannell is the director of Saw. I believe he was the director of Saw, but he had something to do with those original Saw films. So yeah.
So what's cool about it is I'm not gonna spoil too much.
I think everybody kind of knows the basic premise.
So it's not a serum.
Yeah, in the original, they it was a serum. He was sort of a mad scientist, but he takes the serum and he's slowly becomes the villain because he doesn't really start that way. This one, I felt like it's the appropriate modern ideas that they've really brought it to that modern forefront. It's now technology is the cause of his invisibility. It's abusive relationship is the main premise with the girl and the he's not a mad scientist
from the very beginning,
sort of a scientist, but
from the very beginning she's trying to get away from this guy.
Yeah,
that's basically what it is.
It's an interesting twist because they start by showing you the Elisabeth Moss plays the wife, the victim, essentially, and in the original you see it kind of the point of view from the Invisible Man, but in this one you don't see him. You don't know anything really about him other than you're led to believe he's very abusive, and that's it. And you don't get any backstory with him. You don't see him at all. And then it's almost treated a little bit like a ghost story.
Yeah, it's almost like paranormal. Well, not as good, but Paranormal Activity, where like things are moving around and people are getting pulled around and thrown around and stuff. And
you see objects move. And
he's just basically torturing her the whole time and setting her up and all this type of stuff. And no one believes her, of course, because he's invisible, But it's like abusive relationship, but you don't see the other person. It's very interesting. To me, it was very predictable.
It does take a plot line that I feel a lot of horror films do, especially big ones like you had mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street. I had mentioned Candyman. That the general idea that an unseen force is causing mayhem and the central character is being blamed for it. And so that's kind of it leads itself into a little bit of a predictable nature, but I still think they did a great job with the overall suspense. And
in regard to the pace of the movie, I gotta admit, like the first 30 to 40 minutes was, about 30 minutes. I was kind of bored.
Yeah, pacing is so important in horror films, and a lot of the pacing is done right, but it does drag a little bit. I thought a little bit at the beginning, a little bit toward the end. It kind of has that extra sort of segment at the end where you think, oh, is the movie over? Oh, it's not quite over. They keep going. And so it does at times drag a little, which is detrimental to a horror film. However, here I think it's forgivable in the overall feeling that the picture gives me is I still felt like they maintained a level of suspense adequately throughout.
I enjoyed it. So, there's a couple bigger scenes. We were discussing this a little bit. There's like a scene where a lot of people are getting messed up, and if it was a
very graphic film,
no, but I was like, if it was me, I would have left no survivors. I'm like, dude, there can't be any survivors because then they can say, oh yeah, they saw something or something like that. And Joel made a good point.
I was just saying that in this new Invisible Man, he is the supreme narcissist.
Yeah.
He thinks he's smarter than everybody else. He's in the relationship with Elizabeth Moss. He's the abusive, controlling husband or boyfriend, and so he believes he is always in control. He believes he's more intelligent than everybody else. So in that regard, I felt like it made sense that he was a little sloppy, because he's just assuming it doesn't matter if he's sloppy. He's still smarter than everybody. They're not going to figure it out. So it's
he left pretty much everybody alive. But
there are a lot of there's a lot of sequences of mayhem, but it's not necessarily fatal all the time. So.
Yeah.
I think one of the other the challenges that they overcame for the most part is in the horror film, you have your villain, your sense of danger, the creature that's coming after you. The audience knows they will never see it to a certain degree, right? You won't see. I think with a lot of other horror films, especially things like ghost movies or Grudge or things like that, where the scary part is actually seeing the creepy creature.
Yeah.
But this film, and there are other films like it, but they have to overcome that idea that you will never actually see what's haunting this girl or what's coming after.
Well, for most of the movie.
Yeah. But I mean, the all of the build up, all of the jump scares leading up toward the end, when you finally will see. So I feel like they did a pretty decent job of keeping it suspenseful, even though obviously you never see the monster or you see
like Elisabeth Moss. I mean, most of the time she was by herself, so it was just her and rooms. Like say Joel,
looking around the room and you see an empty spot. The
camera's panning all the time. The camera's looking in a quarter for 30 seconds, then pans back to her, and then you expect it to come up behind her, but then it doesn't, and then it pans to another corner. She's always talking to a wall or something, like the whole movie.
And in other, especially ghost movies, the scare moment is when you actually see the ghost and it jumps out at you and does something. But here it can't do that because he's completely invisible.
Yeah, so it's just her flying around. And
so in that regard, I felt like overall this was a suspense film, not a horror movie.
Yeah, you're right.
So even though the trailers try and make you think, oh, this is just straight up horror, it's much more to me just a suspense film. But
this is not a remake.
Well, I mean,
it's not the same storyline.
It's a modern retelling of the basic idea of an invisible man.
The original, the basic idea.
The mad scientist, invisible man who goes on to terrorize.
But he's not a mad scientist.
Sort of.
He's a tech guy.
Yeah, they've just updated to be more.
Yeah, but my point is, like,
nowadays,
a remake would be more like he took a serum and he's invisible and that's it.
Yeah.
But this is another take on it. Same.
Also, they've changed the point of view to Elisabeth Moss as the main character now, and she's being tormented by the invisible man.
Yeah, like constantly stalked.
So you never, like in the original Claude Rains, maybe you can feel sorry for him. He's the character you're maybe following along with. But here, no, the invisible man's just the bad guy, and you're supposed to sympathize with Elisabeth Moss and the family she's staying with. So, but to her credit, I think she's really what sells this. Her performance is believable. There's this dynamic range. She's timid at times. She's has that nervous tick. She's especially when she's having to try and explain her side of the story and nobody believes her. And then,
is it weird to say, like, nothing against her, but she's an average woman? If that makes, like, not an average woman, but just like she's not a high profile movie actress that has to have makeup on all the time, and
that makes it more believable.
That's what
gets you into it. Yeah,
the fact that they make
she
her
looks more
average,
like an ordinary person.
Ordinary.
Yeah. Well, for example, if Charlize Theron was on on the screen, or Margot Robbie, and somebody so overly beautiful, maybe that it would take you out of the horror.
That's what I was getting at. That's what works.
No, it's great casting.
Her acting,
plus she's a great actress.
Yeah, her acting was exceptional, but just she portrayed the fear.
Yeah. Well, it's the same as if they were to have cast Brad Pitt to be the Invisible Man or something. It takes you out of it if it's somebody overly recognizable or somebody that stands out or something like that.
Yeah, and another thing is all the other actors. I mean, I recognize one or two of them, but most of them you've never seen before.
Yeah, it's really her show. She's
all her.
Main, yeah.
Does she have anything to do with production or anything?
I'm not sure.
I would feel like maybe she invested in this a little bit.
It's possible. Yeah, I mean, it's really her movie.
It's just her.
Yeah. If you
there's a lot of characters.
If you buy into her performance, if you believe her, if you sympathize with her, then that's how you'll feel about the movie. So if you don't like her performance, then you're probably not going to like the movie.
Now, wasn't she in the other movie, the movie with the doppelgangers?
Well, she's
She was the
most famous
friend.
for Handmaid's Tale. She's also in The Kitchen, I think, right?
Well,
Was she in that?
let's get back to the movie that Key did or Peel. The one with the doppelbangers. Us. Wasn't she the friend of the family? Wasn't she the wife?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't recall if that
I
was
feel
her
like it
or
was
not.
her.
It might have been. It might have been.
But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. Actually, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my god, but it was. I liked the movie. I liked watching it. I think
for me, it's a competent suspense thriller.
Yeah,
I wasn't constantly on the edge of my seat and like having to cover my face because it's so crazy bloody. It's not like that. It's not that kind of a horror movie. So it's not like Saw or anything like that. It's much more.
No, it's not horror at all. It's just you just never know what's going to happen, and they do that well. Even if there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't happen, it keeps you like waiting to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, well, it's still interesting when they pan to corners of the room and there's nothing there, but you know something's there. You just can't see it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot, actually. It was pretty fun. If you're interested to go see just something different, I would say I would see it in the theater.
That's better than The Mummy.
Yeah, the new with Tom Cruise. Yeah, the old Mummy's a bomb. Well, Frasier, that's a different one, but is that even called?
You're talking about the original Universal?
Well, the original Mummy's good and all the remakes, but I like the one with Brandon Fraser.
Yeah.
It's better than the Tom Cruise one.
Yeah, for sure. Anything's better than the Tom Cruise Mummy.
Yeah, she was in Us, just checked. Yeah, so if you guys saw Us, she reminds me of the doppelganger one. Like where she's like just weird faced and like doesn't talk, and she's she does that same.
Well, she does
not to the extreme, but her acting is very similar, I feel, to that.
Well, there's a transition too. She starts very timid. She starts with kind of she's scared to leave the house. She's got a lot of mannerisms and body movement because she's so traumatized from this very abusive.
She does it really well,
and slowly she's overcoming her fears to where at the end she's finally having to confront.
That's what this is all the way through, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, I mean, you could.
Remember the last scene that lasted 20 seconds?
Yeah. One could say that the underlying theme is about abusive relationships, and that's the main thing, is that overcoming that, and that's what the bravery about. It is
underneath. Yeah, very interesting. But besides that, I thought it was really cool. It was okay. I mean, I have to say though, like, we're driving home, and I said, Joel, here's what I don't understand. The movie was good, but if I did it, it would be so much better. Like, I'm not saying I'm a movie guy, but like even Joel said, yeah, like it's just like they took the easy route. I feel like for the scenes where it could have been so much more exciting. I don't know. They wanted to make it more normal.
I would say that maybe in the scenes of carnage, maybe some of the scenes of violence, they didn't think outside the box too much.
That's correct.
Pretty plain.
That's what I mean.
People getting shot, people getting stabbed. It's nothing. There's sometimes in films there's like a creative violence where it's either really shocking or just something different that you haven't seen before, and it kind of gets you a little more. Here, I would say they played it safe. There's nothing that. There's no sequence where I'm like, oh my god, that is so disturbing.
Yeah, even like the main sequence was cool, but not like, damn, like Terminator cool or something.
Yeah, well, even his suit isn't necessarily the most creative thing there is.
I like the suit.
Yeah, I know you.
I'm sorry, the suit's dope, bro. I'll wear that all the time, dude. Creep up on my enemies on YouTube. What? Anyway, Chloe. I need to get Chloe a little suit. All right, you guys. Well, anyway, I thought it was a fun movie. Worth a couple bucks to go see. I mean, it's not, movie of the year, but I think her performance was really good, and it was a different take on Invisible Man. He had a suit. He wasn't taking a potion. So what do you think, Joel? Same, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I already said all of that on there.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give it a CX. Because
I think it's a competent modern update to this storyline. All of those Universal horror, all of those monsters, they're things that have stood the test of time as good monsters. So it's always interesting.
This is not a monster.
Well, it's part of the Universal.
I understand that
series. So anytime they update it and come up with a new way to show you that same type of monster with a different story or a different background or different style of visuals, it's always entertaining to me. So.
I was going to say something else, but I don't want to bore everybody, but I feel like this. Anyway, well, I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah,
I mean, I really appreciate it. We go do this as much as we can. It's been a couple weeks. What do we got next? Are we doing Mulan?
Mulan's coming up.
That movie looks dope. That preview looks really good. I mean, it's a preview, but just to answer one question again, he's in a suit. He's not. He has a suit that makes him invisible. Okay.
Yeah, they changed it because the mad scientist with the serum that turns him invisible is a little
impossible.
Well, it's a little for modern audiences. Maybe it's a little less believable. So this way, they're just saying, "Oh, it's technology," and that's something we can buy into more easily,
especially nowadays.
Yeah.
But anyway, again, thanks so much for joining. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and we'll be back next week or the week after. The Billy Joel Show, starring Joel and Billy.
Well, thanks for having me back.
And thanks for taking me. Thanks, you guys. See you, okay? Appreciate it. See you tomorrow or whenever. Bye.